we're talking about an often discussed and misunderstood topic, and it's this idea of property taxes. Have they gone up in Florida? Yes. Is it good for investors? You will have to watch the show to find out. Welcome everybody to this week's edition of the Not Your Average Investor Show. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and we don't have Greg Cohen here today, but we have another superstar JWB teammate on the show live for the first time. Hannah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Pablo. I'm thrilled to be here.
I think it's long overdue. I feel like you've always been a stud teammate here, and I'm shocked that you haven't been on the show yet.
5.5 years in the making.
Give your full name and title and stuff like that.
My name's Hannah Feran. I am the supervisor here on the portfolio management team, and I started in the same shoes as y'all's main point of contact, so worked my way up and been rocking with the JWB team for half a decade.
All right, that being said, Hannah, property taxes. You are an expert in the customer service experience here, the customer journey here at JWB. You talk to folks all the time. You know a thing or two about the experience that people have been having with property taxes. Tell me a little bit about that.
Definitely. I mean, concerns can be rising, and I wouldn't say that it's necessarily always, new information. I think that sometimes it comes up as a topic every now and again, and want to make sure that we can go through any concerns and know that you guys have the best team on your side to be aware of those concerns and walk you guys through how we can make solutions together.
Louder, you've been here for how long?
5.5 years.
Is the topic of taxes over the last 5.5 years average pace? Like, were you getting more calls about taxes 5 years ago, more calls today? Has it been about the same?
I'd say about par. I think right around this time, Q4, a ton of our clients, all of our clients that own properties here in Jacksonville get their proposal for their tax bill, and that always starts the conversation.
Got it. So seasonal.
Seasonal.
Yeah, seasonal like real estate likes to be. Okay, cool. Have taxes gone up?
They'll always go up.
Why is that, Hannah?
As they go up, that means their property values are going up as well. And so in a growing market like Jacksonville, it's bound to happen.
Yeah. So let's just kind of uncover show the data here, right? For those of you that believe, at the end of the day, this show really comes from the idea that we get like a message about property taxes, what's up with them, or I'll be, as you know, I go to different shows for property management and real estate investing, and people will be like, Florida, like, isn't insurance and taxes, property taxes there crazy? Right? So like we've beaten the insurance thing to death pretty good.
Yeah.
But on the property tax side, there's a real, it's true. Property taxes are going up. We're showing here the slide from 2020 to now.
Yeah.
Property tax, the average annual property tax bill has gone up from $3,249 to $4,646. That represents a almost $1,400 increase annually in property taxes.
Totally.
But the other side of this chart is what's really interesting.
Right.
It's the median sales price. You want to talk about the relationship between median sales price and property taxes and why does that?
Yeah. So, I mean, clear as day, back in 2020, folks could easily get homes for, mid 200s, and into 2024 and into 2025, that's just really not the reality, unless you're, getting a property that doesn't have all the bells and whistles and hasn't been a brand new construction project from JWB or the others. And when a home price appreciation happens, it's natural that your property tax bill is going to go up with that appreciation.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the property tax bill, so first of all, let me ask you something. You said you used to be able to get homes for $250, and now it's not as easy. You're talking about the median home price in Jacksonville or somewhere you would live. JWB inventory from 2020 to now feels more like a 150 to like 220 these days.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, so this slide is showing median sales price in Jacksonville. The one wonderful thing about JWB is we are always well beneath that median sales price. Yeah. So that's one thing that we're always super stoked to share with prospective investors and our current investors.
Yeah, let's explain that. I mean, we talk about it a lot on the show. It's workforce housing, right? So workforce housing essentially means housing for people that make somewhere between 70% to 120% of the median income.
Right.
So it's kind of like that, like working class,
Yeah.
Amazon logistics center worker, teacher, fireman, someone in the Navy kind of stuff.
Totally, yeah. A ton of our homes are all really around Jacksonville, typically anywhere between the, north side, the west side, and the urban core. And so in all of those places you have your, the port, all of those places need the
Port.
workforce to keep our economy flowing. So
100%.
it's
Yeah.
what we can do to bridge the gap for housing.
Exactly. We're filling that need. We talk about it often. So property taxes have gone up. It's gone up an average of around $1,400 a year
Yeah.
for investors, right? Like that represents a cost in investing, right? Well, when it comes to rental property investing, I think of my mortgage, my taxes, my insurance, right? Like, am I missing anything else on
Letters.
yeah, like regular costs.
No, I mean HOA could be thrown in there, but
Yeah.
not super likely with an investment.
Cool. And then there's variable costs that essentially is like maintenance and things like that.
Of course, things you can plan for, and we always do.
Yeah, cool. So 1.3% property tax increase. When we were talking about this idea that property taxes go up 1.3%, that's 1.3%, therefore it increases. You're like, I mean, yeah, it's an increase, but it's not a surprise. You wanna tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm sure anyone on the show right now, if you're a current client, you've worked with JWB to purchase an investment to expand your portfolio. And, when we are going through those conversations and planning for portfolio growth for our clients, we factor in a ton of estimates on the front end because of our 19 years of experience. And with 19 years of data, we get pretty close to being able to really tinker with the numbers and show a client what can be expected within the 10-year buy and hold. And one of the things that we account for is operating expenses to increase annually. And so we account for that, we plan for it, and we have it in your pro forma so that when it happens, you should have the money set aside and ready to rock with that new information and proposed tax bill that comes in October.
So do most of these calls that are like, hey, I just got a bill that my property tax went up, what the heck? Do you then mostly kind of go back to like, yeah, look back at the estimate that we made for your investment on day one and notice that we are still in line here and this is already built in?
Totally. I think starting with let's look at the bill together. Let's make sure it's all in line. Let's talk it through. Send me a copy of it. I think for any investor that's not local and even local, we want to see what you have your hands on and any, notices from the city of Jacksonville or mail from the county. We want to be able to look at together as your provider to be able to work through the details on it and try to figure out what makes the most sense. And once we have it in hand, yes, we would be able to explain that the pro forma that we, looked at in order to purchase the property that has the increase, it makes sense and is accounted for.
Yeah, there you go. So again, you might get the sticker price. It's like it happened to me recently, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I didn't prep you for this, but like I got it recently. I'm hearing Lori Cincola, Lori, correct me if I got that right, saying the proper thing to do is for millage rates to go down when property value and taxes increase substantially. I was trying that is what is supposed to occur, but many counties have not been doing that. It is up to the people to get officials to correct it and will not let them run away unless unfair increase in property taxes. So that's that second part of it is advice and opinion from Lori.
Totally.
What I want to dig in on that is I recently got this like letter that said millage, this frontage, that. I didn't really understand what that meant. Can you help me understand that?
Yeah, so I mean, those are all kind of estimations that are put together by the county. And so they're going to make you aware of what the rates are and what their proposed increases are. So you as an owner are getting that notice of a proposal. So you can then decide, hey, is this something that falls in line with the normal average operating cost increase? Or is this something that doesn't seem to fall in line with the normal increase that JWB has prepped me for and I can account for? And to Lori's point, does that mean, do I need to talk with, my county and see what can be done to this tax bill and maybe get some reform done if there's a world for that?
Got it. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, and you're like, yeah, people always talk about this idea of like challenging these things, and you get a lot of calls. So then you have a suggestion for people that is, hey, before you go through that effort, call the JWB team. They can help you think through it. You want to?
Yeah. So I think that a lot of people and investors particularly have heard this phrase or common practice of contesting your taxes. And in our experience in the last 19 years, I mean, I can think of maybe a handful of experiences or clients where that's worked out well and has benefited them and had been necessary. But across the board of, all of the clients that we get the pleasure of managing and the properties that are under our management, a vast majority of them really do fall in line with that typical and accounted for increase. And when the folks come to us say like, contest our taxes, or like, what are you guys doing? Typically when we take a look over it and get the opportunity to lay our eyes on it, it's really in line with what we anticipate.
Got it.
No contesting needed because they wouldn't change anything.
Got it. So contesting is an option. It's just generally not the right option because generally these things are going up on the schedule that it's supposed to be. That's already been accounted for in your performance sheet.
Right. It's like you going to the county saying, hey, I disagree with this number that you've come to me with, and then them being like, totally, but we're still going to keep it.
Got it. And you've spent the whole afternoon in government bureaucracy. It's not
totally.
A lot. Got it. Okay, cool. So then those are the numbers on why property taxes have gone up, right? Property taxes have gone up because property values have gone up. But we're talking about as an expense when it comes to rental property investing, there's expenses and then there's revenue, right? So the question that we want to pose is, does the revenue outweigh the expenses? And here we have what's happening in rental increase. So since 2020 till now, where we've seen that $1,300 tax increase per year, we have seen an average of $4,500 cash flow increase in the likes of increased rent.
Right.
Is this a conversation that you're having often?
Absolutely. So I think a lot of our clients that are here today with us in the show all got to see the incredible benefits of population growth that took place in Jacksonville from 2020 to 2023 and 4 and is still happening. And so, as folks move to Jacksonville, they're looking for incredible places to stay. They find JWB, they find your properties to rent. The value of your rents are just going to continue to go up. And typically we can account for like a 3.5% rent increase. But back in the unprecedented times, we saw population growth absolutely boom, which allowed us to see this incredible rent increase that all of you guys got to, see the benefit of.
Yeah. So you bring up the underlying reason why this is happening, right? So like at the end of the day, it's this idea that yes, taxes have gone up, but your actual cash flow has increased even as taxes and your expenses have gone up. Your actual positive cash flow has increased because rents have gone up more than taxes have gone up, right? So if we're gonna do some simple math, taxes have gone up $1,400, rents increased $4,500, right? So like your cash flow has gone up an average of $3,100 a year, which is a really, really good place to be as a from the investor standpoint. Like we talk about cash flow being kind of like the thing that buoys things and keeps things going well. The reason why that is happening is because of the attractiveness of Jacksonville as a market. It is a net growth market, right? Like more people want to move here than want to get out of here. And it's attracting companies relocating here. It's attracting young people looking for opportunities here. It's attracting folks from South Florida like me and you wanted to like live cheaper and better.
Yes.
It's
so much more than that too. I mean, I love that you bring up South Florida. Just like Pablo said, I am from West Palm Beach, a little town called Delray Beach. It's not so much a little town anymore. It's the secret that's gotten out of the bag. But I say all that to say that I moved to Jacksonville 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. I moved here for college. Yeah. I had no concept that I would stay here after college. That wasn't the plan at all. I thought that I would fulfill my 3-4 years in university and probably move back home or move wherever a job took me. And a job kept me here in Jacksonville. Funny enough, I worked in downtown Jacksonville in about 2018, and the how different downtown Jacksonville is just now from 2018 to now is absolutely insane. And there wasn't that kind of like interest in that the little je ne sais quoi that Jacksonville has when I first moved here. And I think my entire university kind of felt the same of younger people. And fast forward to years later, I see so many people that I went to university with that ended up staying. And it's a magnet that ended up keeping a lot of people around.
That's super interesting, right? Because I graduated college way before you graduated college. Like,
Yeah.
I graduated,
changes.
I graduated college in, in 2003. And there was a group of my friends that moved here,
Yeah.
right? Like two guys from Colorado that went to University of Florida, ended up in Jacksonville. Another guy that grew up in Middleburg, ended up back in Jacksonville, but in Jacksonville. Another guy that was from the Panhandle, ended up back here with his wife. They're all still here. Right? Like there wasn't the buzz back then for us. Jacksonville was Florida, Georgia.
Yeah.
There wasn't the buzz, but I remember as I would come up here to visit my friends, and then, like I came up here to visit my friends a year after, then I moved to California. I came here way less. Then when I moved back from Miami, I remember coming here with my girlfriend at the time and seeing all my friends from here that all owned these really nice homes, had nicer cars than I did, and like the woman all had designer bags that I would never dream of being able to afford. I was like, what the hell's going on here? Like it feels like because I have such a higher cost of living in Miami, I'm not able to like then spend on all these other things that I've, would love to build for myself.
Right.
Mostly a home. I'm not a car or a designer bag
Right.
guy.
But
But like, I remember us doing the math of just like, dude, I don't understand how these people can afford this, but it's because of this. It's because Jacksonville has for a long time been surprisingly affordable with more opportunity than people give it credit for, and it's just continuing to go.
it's crazy. I mean, just like you're saying, I mean, I have a number of friends that are still in South Florida, still renters in South Florida because that's what they have to afford down there. And it's interesting to be able to compare the cost of living. And I just feel like Jacksonville is like a hidden gem, but not so much hidden anymore.
Yeah.
And it really is that it's just like a hack to living in Florida and keeping it affordable because I really don't know many other markets that have all of the kind of luxuries that Jacksonville has to offer and different kind of variability that life requires, but still the affordability aspect.
Yeah, yeah, that's really awesome. And like you said, right? Like the secret feels to be out. And I, like we're talking about taxes and we're talking about rents, but at the end of the day, I think we can hit on this a little bit more, right? But like at the end of the day, the reason why rents go up, the reason why properties are going up, it's because it's an attractive market. And the core thesis of the show is maybe you haven't seen anything yet. Like
Pretty
it's like it's
much.
been an attractive market. It has had these fundamentals. And you're saying now, from a perspective of someone of your generation, that the secret's kind of out. What do you mean by that? Like,
Yeah, so like I think of it in this way. So like I mentioned, when I moved here in 2015,
yeah,
purely 10 years ago, which it blows my mind. When I moved here, like I said, I had zero plans of staying here and that was really the sentiment from a lot of people. Even the people that were born and bred in Jacksonville from here, they were like, I want to get out. If there's a way that I can leave, that'd be great. And it was really around like the 2017, 2018 times where a ton of construction started happening downtown. I actually worked at a PR firm. That's what I went to college for, was public relations. I actually did PR for the folks that owned the landing.
huh?
And so like to see kind of the transitions that started happening under that company was interesting. And there was a ton of demolition that was happening downtown when I worked down there. So it was kind of the building blocks for clearing this landscape of what was no longer serving the city
Yeah.
and making this beautifully empty canvas for us to be able to build upon. And we've now got $8 billion worth of working capital in downtown. Like, graduate Hannah would have never, expected any of that to happen.
So wild to see it from the perspective, because to me, the landing was Jacksonville.
Right.
Right? Like as a guy that was just coming from Florida, Georgia.
Yeah,
The landing was Jacksonville. There was nothing around there, right? Like if you weren't staying in one of those hotels, you were like screwed. And to think that you got to see it as the PR person for the landmark that then got demolished
Yeah.
in order to make way for this new future. And now like having come full circle of you lived and worked you worked in a downtown that nobody wanted to be at after 5 p.m. and now it's becoming this destination and now like all this stuff is happening.
Truly.
It's fascinating.
And so like to fast forward 10 years later and me and my friends like kill to go out to downtown and there's like bars that are going to open up that we're excited for, restaurants that we're excited to try. It's
new music venues and new restaurant. Yeah, like it's been cool.
no drought of things to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Nice little sidebar. That's really interesting. Okay, so that being said, we are looking at the effect of taxes, right? So we've had taxes have gone up.
Yep.
Cash flow has gone up considerably more than taxes. So you are net positive on a month to month. But as we know, as rental property investors, there's 5 profit centers, right? So if we're looking at this decision of like, oh my God, my taxes are going up. What do I do with this? I don't like getting a new bill. I think the proper thing to do is to zoom out and say, okay, yeah, property taxes have gone up, but cash flow has gone up. It's outpacing that. So let's not, like we are good on a month-to-month level here. But even more importantly is the idea of we have 5 profit centers. So it's not only gone up in cash flow, it's gone up in appreciation. So even in a time where property taxes have been going up considerably, you are still net positive cash flow, $6,500 on cash flow. And if you look at it from a total investing standpoint, you're up 115K.
Listen, it's so easy, whether it's a tax bill, an insurance increase, whatever that cost of your investment going up, receiving that information, that's tough. And it's so easy in that moment to open up that letter, see the information, and put your blinders on of like, wow, that is my money going out the door.
Yeah.
But that zoom out is just so imperative. And so I think, anytime you hear those, you get those letters, you think you're getting some sort of cost increase, bring it to our team. We want to be able to, explain how this plays into your entire investment and being able to bring you, through the cash flow and appreciation aspect, because may not always know what your home might be valued at, but we can always pull those numbers for you.
Yeah, I think that's a really good time to just bring up this slide of whenever you want to get a hold of JWB, right? Like if you are an investor with JWB, get this tax bill. First thing you want to do is reach out to your portfolio manager. You can always call JWB at 904-677-6777. Text them at 904-293-0341. Or if you're a new investor and you're like,
Chat with us.
yeah, you just want to get on the call with JWB, like, hey, I have this other property and this happened. Is this a good opportunity to like move my stuff to JWB? Go to chatwithjwb.com. Pick out a time to invest and go. And the conversation I want to have here is something that we were just talking about a second ago. This idea that we know rental property investing is one of the highest floor, highest return kind of like asset classes that you could be doing in a growth market that cash flow is positive. And we also know that you got to stay in it for a long time in order to like really reap all of like the rewards for it. But people go through these moments, right? People go through these moments where they get a bill, a tax bill that they didn't expect. Oh man, an extra $1,000 this year. They get like a maintenance thing or a tenant turnover that they weren't expecting for. And they hit this panic button of like, oh my God, this isn't what I signed up for. This moment feels really, really bad. I don't want to be in rental properties, or I just don't want to be doing business with JWB or whatever. And the right move isn't to like bounce, right? Like the right move is to reach out to the team that you trust to kind of like level set and give you some perspective. Why don't you think that people know this more?
I think you just laid it out so perfectly. And when you said hit the panic button, I literally imagined someone hitting a panic button and like being catapulted away from their investment as far as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that is just all so real because, money, what do we all kind of, in relationships, what's like one of the toughest things to talk through and get to a common ground on is money and investing. And that's a really tough thing. So it pulls at the heartstrings. It's an emotional conversation at times. And I think the big thing is remembering why you got into that investment. I know for me, when I want to invest and when I want to, be able to grow in a market, I'm going to want to do it for the growth aspect, knowing that my money is in a place where me as a person cannot touch it. I don't want access to it.
Yeah.
I want someone that I trust to be able to tell me what move makes the most sense. And the piece that I think is the hardest is not thinking of it from the full picture. So let's play out this instance, right? Let's say, you get your tax bill. You're like, Hannah, what in the world is going on? I gotta get out of
$1,200.
This could be real life.
Yeah.
So, you send us the bill and you're telling us at that moment, I want to sell my property. So your property likely has a long-term resident in place because that's one of our huge differentiators is we're signing 2 or 3 year leases and renewing at those, increments. And so, and you're telling our team, I want to sell right now. our options are to sell with that resident in place.
Mm-hmm.
If you sell with that resident in place, you're now very much minimizing your pool of folks that can purchase that home. If someone wants to buy a home for the first time, they don't want to buy it with your resident with a long-term lease in it. Only an investor will want to purchase that. Investors, you all like deals, right? Are you going to want to be the highest and best purchaser of that property? No, you're going to want to try to get it for as low as possible and try to, retain that resident and see if you can use that as a income producing property. So I say all that to say that with a gut instinct and reaction to let me sell my properties, you're going to sell at a low, especially at a time right now when you have a resident in place. You might be 2, 3, 4, 5 years into a 10-year strategy that you've laid out for yourself and your family. You're being short-sighted, and it's really easy to do, but it's really important to consult the experts and be reminded of kind of all of the aspects that go into it to get your full return on investment, because ultimately you likely just got a loan and we want to make sure that you're made whole on that. So to sell early really would be putting you in a place where you're likely taking a huge loss.
What I hear in what you're saying is that when you make a decision to buy a rental property, especially if you're doing it with JWB, right? Because I feel like with everybody else, they're like 20% right now, right? But like JWB is telling you, it's giving you an IRR based on it's outcome based investment, based on an outcome that you want to create, tied to a specific date, tied to a specific goal, tied to a specific why that has a goal that needs a date, right?
Right.
And if you don't let it play out, right? Like it is engineered to hit at that moment. If you don't let it play out, then you are chopping off your legs to, like you're to spite yourself before you learn to walk and before you're running and before you're like running a marathon and winning a race here.
Exactly. It's like any other investment. Would anyone be advising you to sell at a low? No. They want you to try to see the heights of that investment. And that's the point in time that you sell. And typically that's at the 10 or 20-year hold time.
That makes sense. And then the other thing that I'm hearing from you, and it's like, it's the big thing that I won't shut up about in the property management world, is this idea that we can promise returns all we want, but we're only going to get, we're only, or we can be promised returns all we want, but we're only going to get to that date where that return becomes real if not only can the operator that we're betting on, the team, the property management team that we're betting on, not only are they good enough to do it and proven that they can do it, but that they are available to you in panic button moments.
100%.
Right? Like it's so easy to have an unforeseen expense. Your spouse opens it up. They're like, what the hell is this? And you're like, well, I'm not really sure what it is. And it's like, well, are we really sure we know what we're doing? And are we really sure that this is all really going to happen? And oh my God, do I even want to be in rental properties? Or should I just cash out and go in Bitcoin? Right? Like
snowball.
It's a snowball effect. And I think the role of the property manager is obviously number one, to be able to like make sure that the property performs, but there's an underserved need for a property manager to also be the person that's there for you during hard times. And most property managers, aren't built to like make the thing actually perform, but even fewer have property management is really hard, is what I've learned in this last year. It's super complex, it's really hard, and fewer property managements that actually know how to do it have the bandwidth to have somebody that can A, answer the call the moment that you call, and B, actually be there and talk you through it, give you the information that you need to do to like add, data and perspective to this emotion, and spend the time with you helping you understand it so that you can then go tell your spouse, your partner, and be able to relay it. And if that doesn't work, to be able to have a meeting with all three kind of thing, right? Like
exactly what I was gonna say. I mean, you laid it out perfectly, and I think one piece that I want to make sure that I reiterate to the audience is let's talk about traditional property management. Traditional property management is one person typically that is speaking with the client and speaking with the resident. First of all, you now have a conflict of interest, if there's some sort of conversation between the two. But all that to say that it's really hard to get in touch with those people usually. You call when that, issue comes up and you're getting either a robot on the other line or a voicemail. And so one thing that we absolutely are thrilled about is that we are always available for our clients. If you don't get us in the exact moment that you call, we're calling back the same day or very first thing next day to make sure that we can be there for your concerns and be able to walk you through the why and why this is important for your family and how this was accounted for.
This shines a big spotlight on something we talk about often, but we never explain behind it. And we describe it as you need to be doing business with a property manager that has a certain size team. Right? Like there's a qualifier, right? Like if you're doing business with a property manager with a 10-person team, you can expect that first experience that we talked about. If you're doing business with a property manager that's been around 20 years, has 125 people on their team, the chance that you can get one of those folks on the phone and they have time for you is way higher. And that is one of the reasons why when Greg and I talk about like the right order of operations being team, market, property. And then when selecting a team, there's kind of like 3 tests that we talk about. It's like it's the phone call test, right? Like, do they pick up immediately? And is the pickup feeling like it's a reactionary thing or it's something they do all the time and they're used to it?
Someone called in again.
Yeah, right. Or
Yeah,
and then asking the right questions of like, how do you communicate internally? How do you communicate externally? What tech do I have to like help myself through this? And those types of things are all things we talk about often, but this is the reason why.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things is like, you come to our team with a problem and we're just as invested in fixing that problem because we're all here in Jacksonville. We've all, like me, had a similar journey, whether we're born and bred here or moved here, and have that passion behind the downtown growth. So it's like we are just as inspired by your portfolio growth as you guys probably are by your own portfolio growth and wanting to make sure that it's a smooth and easy experience for all parties because we want you to continue to have the goals in mind to get your family to whatever it is you were looking to achieve.
That's the other thing we talk about, vertical integration, right? Like one team that's responsible for the entire thing instead of one person responsible for finger pointing at every other team. A, B, aligned incentives within the team that make it so that you're winning when the salesperson sells the right thing, under promises, over delivers. The salesperson wins because you're taking care of them on the back end
Totally.
because they get more sales from repeat customers, and JWB has an average of over 3 properties per client, right?
Yeah.
So like those aligned incentives are just kind of everything, but you need to have the team to get there in order to do it.
Exactly. And we spend a lot of time. One of my favorite things about JWB is that we spend the time on encouraging and making sure that we are vetting the best possible talent out. Clients probably don't know this too well, but we have a really interesting interview process to where we're looking to find an incredible human being.
Say more.
You could be coming from the restaurant life, you could be coming from other walks of life that isn't property management, isn't real estate, because we can train on property management, we can train on real estate. You can't train on being an incredible human being and caring for one another and caring for other people's goals. So it's looking for the right person that wants to see growth and success through others and be a change agent in that.
I think you're a shining example in this, Hannah. It's like something I talk about all the time. Like, you don't find talent like you that can just like show up and be this well spoken on a call. Like, I'm doing the math. You graduated college 2008, 2018, and you're here crushing it on this call as a clear subject matter expert. Like you associate talent of people that work at JWB with, I don't know, tech companies
Yeah.
and finance companies and stuff like that, right? Like this little real estate company that was built by 24-year-old dudes that 20 years later, have created this like amazing place. It's rare to see the assemblage of talent that we have in this under this roof. And it always shines so brightly when we have a teammate, like a new teammate, right? Like I'm shocked you haven't been on here before.
No,
have
lost
have a new teammate on the show. And the insight here, the aha for everybody is it comes down to hiring for core values.
And it's like it
Yeah.
goes back to if you're calling about something you're upset about, you want someone that cares on the other line. And that's us, calling about your taxes increasing. We want to know those sorts of things. We want to go through it with you and we want to be able to say, let's look at it together and get to a resolution as a team. And I think we're unique in the sense that because of our interview and hiring process, you get that on the other line.
So I would add to these tests that we're talking about, the phone call test, the tech test, the communication test, ask your property manager What's your hiring process?
Yeah, what's your hiring
your
process?
hiring
How
process?
do you get people in the door? I'd love to hear the answer.
Yeah, that's a really good test. I like that one. Cool. That was awesome.
Yeah, of course.
We have a couple questions. You want to do a couple questions
Let's
here?
do it.
Mystery man Denny Davis says,
Denny.
I'm not sure this is a question. Pablo, Hannah did so well on the roll call that you should include it in the podcast recording. Great job, Hannah.
Thank you so much.
Denny, we got to be honest here. Hannah was actually reading through the chat, and we set Hannah up to succeed here. But I hear you loud and clear. You like the roll call in the podcast. We've taken it off of the podcast. The lesson here for everybody to learn is that listen to the podcast. Like like you can listen while driving, and we'd love it if you refer that to a friend. We do as much as we can to make the podcast very listenable.
I also probably did know about 95% of those clients, and I was truly excited for those that I wanted to say hello to.
Well, that's what was interesting. You may not have known their nickname, but you had more context on most of those clients than I have. I just know the
Case in
nickname.
point.
Yeah, case in point. All right, so Man of Steel, Vincent Barbarite. This might be a little out of our league, but if DeSantis eliminates property taxes on personal residences, is the plan to increase investment property taxes to offset state revenue laws? How much do you know about that stuff?
I don't know a ton, only because if I'm not mistaken, this became a conversation maybe like 3 weeks ago or so. So I'm not entirely sure that they've really come to a conclusion on what the outcome will be.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's impactful to our investors, it's something that we would bring to you guys proactively. So we're going to keep an eye on that news and how it can shake out for our investors. But as of right now, no kind of concerns on the horizon.
I'm trying to remember, and maybe Joanna can help me. Like, I feel like Greg and I did a show on this. It's either Greg and I did a show on this, or we've talked about it so much because we thought about doing a show on this. But Vincent, from what I remember on this, like state property tax thing, it's nowhere close to cooked, so nobody knows the answer to this.
Just a lot of hearsay.
But what's being floated is more like hospitality taxes and like consumption taxes, so that it affects people coming to the state and not residents, not so much investor taxes.
Yeah, I don't think it's from what I understand, wouldn't impact property taxes too much. I think it's more along the conversation of sales tax.
Correct. So, anyways, that's for whatever that's worth. That being said, nobody knows. This is like one of those bajillion press conference topics that I think DeSantis likes to throw out.
We'll let DeSantis answer.
Yeah, for sure. Man of Steel. Hannah, I had to step away for a minute, so you might have answered this. Does JWB contest taxes on behalf of the entire portfolio each year?
Very great question, Denny. We do not proactively, and that's only because, like I mentioned when you had stepped away, is that it's typically not necessary. What I would advise you to do is bring any of your proposed tax bills. They should be they should be finalized here soon. Bring them to our team. Let's look at them with you and just make sure that they look in line with the average increase. I love you too, Rosalind.
And I agree. Okay. So what's HT?
Hannah and Tahir.
Hannah and Tahir. God, I'm gonna have to write that down and beat myself over the head with it, because I'm so much is happening that when I'm like reading names, like if I'm not like conditioned.
I only know this because I helped them close a time or two and their ownerships, that their LLC is that name. So
okay. So that's the LLC. All right. So Hannah and Tahir, good to have you. I have always been I'm just gonna behind the curtain here. I didn't know if HTTN was a name of like an ethnicity that I wasn't super familiar with, and I didn't know if like HT was male or female. And you've noticed that I've always been like, HT says this, HT says that. I never say he or she. So I'm so happy that it's Hannah and Tahir.
Happy I could break up the.
I would love to know if it is Hannah or if it is Tahir. Please let me know. I would love to refer to you by name.
I'm guessing Hannah, but please feel free to share. She's smiling at the bottom.
Amazing, Hannah. You have run the longest con in Not Your Average Investor
You're
history.
so welcome.
So anyways, Hannah's saying, hi, Pablo. Always good to see and hear you. Miss GC. Hannah's really nice to see you and enjoying all the insight you're sharing. I enjoy working with you.
I enjoy working with you guys as well. I'm happy to see that you're with Christian now, and it seems like things are going well.
Yeah, and they're also saying, want to say thank you to the entire JWB team behind the scene. They are all professional and quick to respond. Just want to shout out Christian Mendoza. He's been really helpful, responsive, and understanding.
Let's go.
That I feel like I have to bring up my usual speaking point on this. Doing business with JWB, I've compared it to like In-N-Out Burger. I think the more germane thing here is Chick-fil-A, right? But like it's like one of these. It's a business that when you can walk into in whatever mood, and you're going to walk out in a slightly better mood than you started, because everybody that you talk to is like you, right? They're super knowledgeable, super want to help. I don't know, bubbly personalities, like easy to get along with. It's awesome.
I mean, why would we hire anything less than go-getters, right?
How does it feel to work on a team full of people like that? Like when you walk out of the walls of JWB, you're just like, the rest of the world is so negative.
It's like working inside of an energy drink beverage cooler. Like everyone around me is just my sunshine and my joy. And so like to your point, I mean, me personally, I'm generally a very happy glass half full gal, but if there's ever those moments where I'm feeling less than, I pop upstairs to my team and I literally smiles all across the board. We're joking, we're singing songs, we are having a good time in the middle of it all. And if you hear our laughter, our songs on the other side of the line, just know that our friends are keeping us on the sunshine path while we're working.
Joanna, I would like to make a quote card for Hannah that says working at JWB is like working inside of an energy drink cooler.
Please coin that.
Please go in there. Please go in that. I totally agree. And
New bumper sticker.
man, I just think so much about the old saying of like you are the average of the five people you hang around the most with. And I think about the idea that we spend more time at work than we spend with our families and with all of this stuff. And I have to believe, and I've never really kind of like conceptualized or explored this, but I have to believe that what JWB has created by joining all these people together is such like a buoyant force in everybody's life that's a part of this because of this, right? Like when you're
Yeah.
down, you're surrounded by four other people that are likely energy and cooler up.
Totally. And I think like personalities aside, it's also about like what you have to deliver as a teammate
Yeah.
and how you can be the best that you can be against your peers. And so as a supervisor, I mean, if I need new talent, I'm looking for who can be better than me one day. Like, and maybe you're better than me now. Like I want to be surrounded with those individuals that are going to level up the team and bring passion and excitement and helpfulness to my client.
Heck yeah, man. You want to be the dumbest person in the room or the
Bingo.
or
Bingo.
the least happy person, right? Like you want the
Yeah.
room to elevate you, right? Like
Exactly. Elevation Nation here at JWP.
Elevation Nation.
Let's go.
The MVP Lee Bishop says, "I am looking forward to work once again. I'm looking forward to work once again to work with the JWB team, and it will be my first time dealing with Hannah and her group. I am sure they will be able to help me with my issue." All right, cool. Sounds good,
Lee,
Lee.
Lee, Lee.
Okay, so we went through the questions. We talked about the show. $10 million question, Hannah. Are property taxes going to continue to go up?
They are going to go up. They go up every single year. We've seen it every year. I
Yeah.
can't think of a year in Jacksonville where we didn't see that.
Mhm.
But that's
But
coupled with the or the home price going up. So as long as things are going up, that's a trending in the right direction because home price appreciation is really where you see your Pac-Man money here
yep,
here in Jacksonville.
yep. I think the takeaway here is, let's shift from the belief that every cost going up is a bad thing to the idea that property taxes in particular are directly correlated to your net worth, right?
Pretty much.
And as property taxes go up, it means that your property values are going up. So you're winning on that side, but you also want to like have the scope of how much of my rent's gone up, right? So it's like, yes, property values go up. Before hitting the panic button, the next question is, what have my rents done in the same amount of time, and what has my property done in the same amount of time? And then at that point, you have data plus perspective.
Data and perspective and just taking a pause. I think it's so easy to
Yeah.
see a dollar figure and get irate at that. And
Yeah.
I think just stopping, pausing, leaning on your experts, calling your team and making sure that we have the conversation together. Even if you call in the panic, we'll be in the panic with you and we'll look it over as a team.
That's it right there. So like take a pause, call the JWB team if you need to be walked back from the cliff's edge. Call them at 904-677-6777. Text at 904-293-0341 or schedule an appointment directly at chatwithjwb.com. Anything else, Hannah? Anything else you want to throw there? This is awesome.
This was awesome. I don't know if I have more to throw out there. I feel like we went through a lot of information on why property taxes will always go up, how rent price appreciation should outpace that. Your home is always going to continue appreciating in a growth market where there's $8 billion worth of capital working downtown to grow the market that you've invested in. And we are the company that's helping kind of, be an advocate in those efforts to see your investments grow and grow.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Also, Hannah is saying we can do a trio. We have the trio do a show together.
We should.
I'm gonna take you up on that. If you're serious about that, Hannah, I'm gonna have Joanna reach out to you and like schedule you for one of the future kind of like guest investors. We'd love
That'd
to
be
have you on the show.
awesome.
And anybody else that wants to be on the show that hasn't been on the show, we would love to hear your story on the show. Like we're constantly looking for people to bring on the show. Our goal is to have at least 2 per quarter, right? So we need that. We need your help with that.
I'm gonna bridge the gap and help find the people.
Let's make it happen.
Let's
Let's
do
make it
it.
happen. With that being said, perfect segue. Mike Foster's coming on the show next week.
That's exciting, Mike.
yeah.
How are you? How's Ellen? Are you on the show right now?
I haven't seen him on the show.
But that's exciting.
Joanna and I were just talking about how like Mike seems to be excited to come on the show, and we're like, we're excited for Mike's to come on the show because like Mike is one of these guys. Like Mike has been consistently one of the best question askers.
It was before you even said that, I was gonna say, if nothing, Mike asked the best questions. I remember helping him and Ellen close, and they just truly like opened my eyes to things that I was like, great, these are things that I should just be telling people on the front end. So what an educator. You're the man, Mike.
I can't wait. I can't wait to have Mike, get to know him, have him bring his brilliance of question asking.
I'm here. I'm here
Oh.
always.
It's always you are. Like I'm glad you received that then.
I'm excited for you next week.
Really pumped to see you on the other side of the camera. And I don't, I want to end with, I just found out in the chat, Ken Moline, I think, had a stroke recently. So we just found out from Caroline. We found out in the chat.
So
I just really want to like send our best wishes, healing thoughts, all of our prayers, like kind of like the collective goodwill of the community to Ken, to Carolyn, to the Moline family. We call them the first family of the show. Hope that Ken is able to like be back to 100.
Definitely.
They mean a lot to us.
All of our JWB hearts go out to you guys, and we'll make sure to kind of give you like a warm hug from afar here in Jacksonville.
For sure. So hate to end on that, but I feel like
the family's in need of help.
Had to be brought up. So anybody that's out there, if you can help them out.
Lift them up.
And Hannah, you just did a phenomenal job, right? Like not surprised.
Thanks for
at
having
all
me.
in the least, but this was really fun to do. I'm blown away that this is really your first time
One of
on the
many,
mic here because A, you showed up like a pro, and B, I feel like you and I have had a bunch of like really good conversations about stuff.
We
so
do.
I just assumed that you've been an expert on the show before.
Invite me again sometime.
You know what?
Y'all hold them accountable.
Don't
to
threaten
that.
me with a good time. That being said, as we sign off here, do you know what the final piece of advice we give?
Can I say it?
Mhm.
Don't be average.
Don't be average.